Hi everyone. Oh my god, thanks for coming. Isn't this cute? No, thanks for coming. Mum and Dad, thanks for coming especially. They're very proud of me. Yeah, when I told them I was going to come to this science comedy thing, I said, Mum, Dad, aren't you proud of me? I'm finally going to live up to both of the Jewish stereotypes that you raised me so well with. Going to become a comedian and a scientist. They said, Nathan, you're 32 years old. Please just pick one and get a job already. I'm Nathan Eisenberg. I'm a PhD student at the University of Melbourne, and I research weather prediction and ways of making our weather forecasts faster and more accurate. So if you're looking for someone to blame for last week's bad weather, it's not me. Not responsible for the weather. Besides, my research not even in operations yet. Hopefully, we think it might be in the next 5 to 10 years. Craig, I think you're in the audience, right? Yeah. So I guess if you're looking for someone to blame the bad weather on in 5 to 10 years, that's also not me. That would be climate change, everyone. You have no one to blame but yourselves. I research a very particular step in the weather forecast system, and that's when we correct the models with all of the observations that come in from satellites and weather balloons and aircraft and weather stations as well. And this is a really important step because it keeps the models on track to reality. We all know that models can be helpful, but one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite male modelers is, all models are wrong, but some can be helpful. So, weather prediction, it's not rocket science, don't worry. But it is very, very similar to rocket science. All the maths is the same, all the physics is very similar. And actually, the first time that data assimilation algorithms were used in operations was to guide the Apollo space mission at NASA. So, but more importantly, why I bring it up is that weather prediction is like rocket science in that it's a highly operational applied science. And that means that the only two things that really matter are speed and accuracy. We want weather forecasts to be right, and we want them as soon as possible. Believe me, the value window of when a weather forecast is useful is very short. As soon as it comes around to the lead time, no one's looking at that thing. So when I tell my research topic to the right room of people who care about speed and accuracy of forecasts, and I say that my research is ensemble tangent linear models and adjoints for four-dimensional variational data assimilation, they get pretty excited. And I know that there might be some of you in the audience who get pretty excited about that, and believe me, if you're here, come up to me after the show, buy me a drink, I'll tell you more exciting things. But I also acknowledge that to some people that sounds like a bunch of jargon. And so I've decided to talk about the motivation for my work, which is improving weather forecasts and how much weather forecasts have actually improved in the last few years. And I love talking about my work. I mean, it turns out that even normal people care about the weather forecast. And what's not to love? I mean, it's a cute thing. Sometimes we might get stuck in the rain and have an experience with someone that we never would have otherwise had that experience with. It's actually cool because it's environmental, and that's very in right now. And it's exciting because you never know when the weather might destroy your house and everything you love. And here in Melbourne, we know a thing or two about variable weather, right? Yeah? Melbourne weather? People love it. No, we pretend to love it. We pretend to hate it, but we really do love it. Did you know that the Bureau of Meteorology is the only federal government agency that has its headquarters outside of Canberra? That means it was nationally unfeasible to imagine that the headquarters for our weather bureau would be anywhere except Melbourne. Have you heard that joke? If you don't like Melbourne's weather, just wait 5 minutes. 4 seasons in one day, yeah? Crowded house, Melbourne band. Melbourne people, and I'm one of them, I grew up thinking that we invented coffee, we invented street art, and trams. And a grid-based street system. So weather is variable, we get that, okay? But how often is it wrong? How accurate are our forecasts? Actually, the forecast accuracy has increased dramatically over the last 30 years. I don't know how many people remember when you got your weather forecast information from the front cover of a newspaper. This is from the Age newspaper in April 1994. I was 2 years old. If you turn to page 16, you would see the detailed top and low temperatures for today, tomorrow, and the next day, and it would tell you if it was likely to rain or not. Back then, the forecast skill accuracy was about 50%, which means about half the time, the weather forecast was well predicted. Now, lots changed since 1994. I haven't changed much. I still like my dinners cut up in small bite-sized pieces. And I still don't have a job, do I, Mum and Dad? But the weather forecast has improved a lot, and thankfully, and it comes in a very different form. These days, we're getting 90% skill for tomorrow's weather forecast, and you can get hourly updates just by looking at your phone. Even the 5-day forecast, which wasn't even published in the newspapers 30 years ago because it was too rubbish, has increased dramatically and is now better than we used to predict tomorrow's forecast when I was 2 years old. So we've made leaps and bounds in the accuracy of weather forecasts, and not many people are talking about it. But the reason for this is the unsung hero of all of this. There's lots of reasons, and models are definitely part of that, but I'm going to say that a lot of it's to do with data assimilation. So how do we do this? Well, I'm going to tell you a funny story, actually a wacky idea from 100 years ago. Came up with this guy, I love him, Lewis Fry Richardson. He's an English mathematician from back then. He was also a meteorologist. He was also a pacifist and a Quaker, and he had some pretty awesome and wacky ideas. He was obsessed and tortured until his death by the idea of the borders of countries, how long they are, and whether that made them more likely to go to war with their neighbours. He was trying to prevent war, but he didn't make much progress with that. One other idea that he did have very good traction with is his idea of how we might predict weather in the future. He called it the forecast factory. This was an amazing idea. Big opera-style room where the globe was painted on the inside and split up in lots of latitude and longitude squares. And he imagined that 64,000 people would sit in booths around the globe, and there would be a conductor in the middle shining a torch on everyone. He imagined that the 64,000 people would solve numerical differential equations by hand based on the atmospheric temperature and pressure recorded from each of the lat-long boxes that the people were sitting in. And when they conferred with their neighbours about what their answers were, they would solve their own equations and then report back by yelling to the conductor when the light was shone on them. And this is how we got a forecast. So first of all, imagine a world where our forecast comes from 64,000 people sitting in this fancy opera room. Imagine how upset you'd be if you had tickets to the Globe Opera House and you went in looking for a performance and you had to sit through an hour's worth of people yelling numbers across a room. Actually, that's kind of the thing that would go for in Melbourne, actually. Some sort of experimental art performance, weather themed. You could have Crowded House playing at halftime. You could make a night of it. You could take the tram down, look at the street art, all invented in Melbourne. We've made loads of... the most important thing that I want to bring this forecast factory is the most wacky thing is it's exactly how we do predict the weather these days. There's one big difference, okay? Instead of computers, which is what Lewis Fry Richardson called the people who would compute, these are all done by computers, beep boop machines, everyone knows computers. And it's all done on computers. It's all done on software, but it is very, very similar in idea. So we split up the globe into all these grid boxes, and all the computers are conducted in parallel. And when they finish, they report it back to a central node, and then we have a weather forecast. The great thing is it's all done very, very quickly on supercomputers, and we can have forecasts rapidly update as soon as possible. So we've made leaps and bounds of improvements in forecast skill, and I hope you can take that away from this tonight. And a lot of it's got to do with data assimilation. So although my research is full of jargon, and sometimes a bit boring. I hope that it is also pretty useful and can continue to improve the speed and accuracy of our weather forecasts and skill. So we've got loads of work to do, so that the work is not done. I think we can all agree that we have no fucking clue how to predict rainfall. Keep enjoying Melbourne's variable weather. Always remember to bring the weather with you, and I'll see you at the next experimental weather opera. Thank you very much.